Okay, we're calling the meeting to order at 6:01. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from December. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes for December?
I would just like to say that they're really well done. They seem to capture what we talked about.
Okay. I didn't have any corrections or anything either, so I thought they were fine. So I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you. Second, Catherine? Okay, all in favor of approving the December minutes, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved. I'm going to move public comment if anybody doesn't have an objection to after, till the end, I guess. So that would push David, monthly report from the zoning administrator.
I have nothing to add. I resent it to you, Mary.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, other than Solstice called me yesterday, and he's coming to meet with me tomorrow.
Okay.
And
That's
he will file his request for home occupation.
great. And then you had mentioned somebody coming about seeing if there was relief for a zoning.
Yes.
Would that be you guys? Okay, David, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe a zoning change would have to be a variance. Is that correct? Or would we actually have to change the zoning regs?
I think you've got to change the boundaries. So I don't think you have the authority to issue a variance.
Okay. I wondered about that. All right, so is your property just, does it abut this 2-acre zoning? We don't have any way to do it, as David said, other than changing the zoning regulations. All I can offer, I guess, at this point is we are going to be updating the zoning requirements, so we could consider it as part of that, but I can't guarantee that. So there, so you're in a 10-acre zoning, I believe. And what do you want to do?
I can maybe jump off 2 acres.
So you just want to subdivide into 2 lots? So how many acres is your lot? Yeah, so you still got a problem, because even if we rezoned for the 2 acres, you can't subdivide and create a non-conforming lot, which your 8-acre one would then be. So we'd have to extend that zone out through your whole property. And yeah, is there anything you can do? No, I guess all we can do is say we'll put it on the list of things to look at when we update the zoning requirements.
And I didn't see anything in the zoning regulations for subdividing at all.
There's a subdivision regulation.
Right? I couldn't find it anywhere.
Page 18, I think it is.
No, it's a separate document.
Oh,
It's not on the website. Interesting. Donna, could you look into that? Well,
Subdividing regulations.
it's this document. If I can find the front page of it. Subdivision regulations, and it was adopted on July 11th, 2017.
It's on the website.
It is? Okay.
I believe so.
Annie's looking right now. The planning commission can update the zoning map. But that would, it would have to be because you can't have an 8-acre lot and a 10-acre that you've created by subdividing off 2 acres. That's explicitly prohibited. You finding it?
There's also.
Yeah.
Separate dwelling, not a 20%. Like a mother-in-law building, only 20% of existing.
If you wanted to do an accessory dwelling unit, that is covered in the zoning regulations and
It's
Uh,
limited in size.
it is limited in size. Um,
We're confused on, I guess.
It's in the definitions.
Yeah, it cannot exceed 1,200 square feet or 30% of the total floor area of your house. If you wanted to do an accessory, accessory apartment, it's section 503 of the zoning regulations. Yeah.
I have no idea what that one.
Okay. It's months or years. It's a very slow process. We have to deal with all the changes we need to do, and we've got quite a few. And then we have to have, I think, 2 hearings. The select board has to have at least 1 hearing, has to go to all the abutting towns for approval. And I believe Addison County Regional Planning has to approve it with a hearing. So it's not a quick process. So if you wanted to do something, I think your option is this accessory dwelling unit. If that would meet. Yeah, it's not, and it's meant to be an accessory, you know, not part of the, you know, it's not as. I believe the area that you have is the living space is limited to 1,200 square feet. It would not count the garage underneath it. David, am I correct in that?
Yeah, yes.
The living space is gonna be 30%? Or 1200?
Or 1,200 or 30%. It depends on which is, you can have the bigger of the 2. You could have 1,200. No matter what, you can have 1,200. If your house is 10,000 square feet, you could have 3,000. But if your house is 1,200, you can have 1,200. Does that make sense? Hopefully that helps. Okay,
But Mary, it's limited to 1 bedroom.
yeah. And you've got to have wastewater. You know, you've got to have all the, yep. Okay, all right. Thanks for coming.
I will say that it's referenced multiple times in our,
And you can't find
I
it?
cannot find the
Okay.
actual subdivision regulations.
I hope I can find it. I've been looking for other documents.
Oh, okay. If you can't find it, I might have a copy, or I have a hard copy that, worst case, you could scan. But I believe I did locate that in Suzanne's time frame, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Suzanne might be able to help you if you can't find it.
Yes, she's excellent. She's found things that I know.
Yeah. Okay, any other business for the DRB, old or new?
Would that be the noise ordinance?
No, that's planning. Okay.
No other business.
No
Thank you.
other business, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn at 6:10.
So moved.
Second it.
Move in second. Okay, we're adjourned at 6:10 and we will convene the planning commission at 6:10. First item is approve the minutes from the December meeting. Again, I didn't have any changes or anything. I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Annie.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes? Aye.
I,
Okay. Danielle,
Yes.
welcome.
Hi, so
Yeah, come on up.
So hi, I'm Janelle Byron, and I am with the Addison County Regional Planning Commission as of January. I am here in place of Katie Whitecroft-Meyer, as a lot of towns to work through, so,
Yeah.
I luckily, received a grant as one of my projects.
Okay.
So tonight, I wanted to talk about the application for the municipal plan grant, which will be due, March 31st. So we need to start cracking, and I'll be the one that decide to complete the application, do whatever, but again, it's all with your input. If there's someone that wants to be the point person or wants to be the writer of the grant, you're happy to. But I'm here as that support person, in whatever capacity.
Okay, so question for you, will you be actually doing the inputting into gears?
Well, I will, I'm happy to. But of course, we do need an administrator to set up their account. Well, it's a managing, let me just pull up the notes that I have here. So we do need an authorizer or a managing administrator to actually set up the grant and then assign me as a party to people to access everything.
Okay, so that would that be our town clerk?
It could be, yeah, it could be your town clerk, it could be a select board member, because that person will be having to upload certain documents from a municipal level, and obviously the one that receives the actual funds. So
Okay.
I'm happy to work with whomever, but, so I'll just give you a little kind of, obviously you're all very well versed in your plan, et cetera. And obviously your plan doesn't expire until 27, which seems like a long time away, but, process could be lengthy as far as doing the actual plan and as well as well.
Right.
So your plan was adopted in 2019, obviously expires November 13, 2027. And when you did your last plan, that funding was from 2016, 2017. So it's still that kind of 2 years before, so it'll
Right.
come on us sooner than later. So there are certain things that will be required in your new plan, and that's things that we'll talk about, changes that have happened since 2019. So I'm happy to kind of, those are really, there's statutory items such as forest blocks, flood resiliency. There's definitely things that we could add that's also different. There's health equity components of it that can maybe kind of meld in with, I understand you're interested in more of a trail network. And so we just want to make sure that we put all of your, ultimately in the plan, all of your wishes, of course. But with the application, we just want to make it as robust as possible so that you do receive the funds.
Okay.
That you're one of the parties that does receive funds for it, if that's.
So what do we need to come up with for the input to the grant then?
Okay, I have handouts.
Perfect.
These little people like paper here too, so thank you very much. I have 5. I'm sorry, I did not send anything electronically in advance. And these are just some of the documents I wanted to, just so that you have it, your fingertips. And in this packet, so the first thing is a program description of the planning grant. So that has a lot of information in it as far as what the amount could be, the process, the scoring criteria, things along those lines. And I'm happy to follow up tomorrow with an electronic copy of everything so that I can get it to Catherine and Bethany and whoever else.
Would be great.
So I know that there's 5 of you.
And just, I will just say too, that I did attend a webinar on this. So I tried to follow along with all the details of it. It sounds like we have really strong support from the administrator of this in terms of how we work with it, but it does seem that we need to follow it pretty strictly. So thank you for helping us through this.
And so what I'm in this packet is one thing is this planning guide that is just kind of a good refresher as to how this grant opportunity is available and what the specs are. The next piece I included in here was the grant application. And so what it is actually kind of almost a print out of the year's system and the questions that they're asked. A lot of them are very self-explanatory. You can check mark here, there, but we definitely want to make sure that the material is more of the the text box is robust, et cetera, and also just, you know, I've been reading a lot about it, just making sure that it's not too repetitive, et cetera, and we wanna make sure that the state, when they're reviewing all of these applications, that understand that.
Okay.
So, and then the last thing in that packet is just the municipal resolution, which is something again that the town clerk, select board, et cetera, will need to complete. And that is, yeah, because you're applying for the funds, and that gets uploaded into the system as well.
Okay.
So those are kind of what I found helpful thus far. So let me just get back to my notes here. So really it comes down to, you need to figure out like, what do you want? What do you want in your, is there anything that you want to expand upon? The one thing I'm well aware of is the Arnold Bay projects.
Yep.
That Katie is managing that grant through the clean water service provider. And so that is, you know, obviously only going to enhance that piece. So we're going to mention that in the grant as well, because it's nice to mention of kind of showing the success of working with that.
I think, I'm just talking off the top of my head right now. I think we want to relook at our enhanced energy plan.
That is actually, yeah, that's actually a separate piece from what I'll be doing. Those
Okay.
funds exist for you already. That's my understanding.
But that's part of our town plan.
Exactly. So I'm going to be managing the plan as far as the completion of it, et cetera. And then Jolyon is also new with regional planning. He is the energy planner, and that will be his task as part of it. And then right now it's an appendix, so ideally that will stay the same way, the executive summary.
Yeah.
Plan like it is now.
Okay.
So he will be another piece of the puzzle. But right now, this is for the grant, so that you can get the funding for ACRCP too.
So where is that money located?
I can double check on that. I asked
Just be
Katie to
curious.
make sure that because we have funds from 2 energy plans. And you are one of them as far as doing the enhanced energy plan.
Really? Okay. All right. Snow.
There.
That was a lot of snow.
That's scary. So I'll double check on where those funds come from, but that is part of it.
Okay.
So that's obviously 50 pages of your which I read today, the first time.
Right. Another section that I think we need to focus on is, and I asked Katie about this and she thought that would be, that would work, is, hang on, I have too many different email systems because some of them
I
are.
think I have that. That's you mentioned the trail to Den Creek from Jersey Street.
Oh, that's different.
Oh.
That's a question. I mean, we have this town trail, and Sharon, interrupt if I'm misspeaking, but I believe it's been surveyed by the town. Donna, you might know this. Did they ever complete that survey?
Yeah, they did.
They did. And I believe downed trees have been cleared,
Okay.
but that's the extent of what's been done. So I think you can basically kind of walk down there, but it's, nobody uses it.
Yeah.
And it's,
People use it.
do
People
they?
say that. People always say that nobody uses it, but people use it.
Who's using, I mean, are they walking
People
or?
use it. There's snowmobiles that come in and out of there, there's ATVs that come in and out of there, there's bikes that come in and out
Okay.
of there, there's hikers that come in and out of there.
It's right across the street from her house.
You know,
So-
so it is used.
Okay, so maybe we want to do something to focus the uses, or, you know, I'm not sure,
And so again,
It sounds like it's
we
a-
want to make sure that we do all those things when we apply for a grant down the road. This is just for the,
right,
so, but we want to make sure everything's included so that when there's another grant opportunity that might pop up, it's in the plan, and that is one extra, you know,
Right.
school students.
yeah,
So maybe we could expand upon that kind of, trying to think what section it was in, recreation, I guess. We could kind of expand that section if we want to kind of open it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, that's when we get to the plan. Right now, again, this action is just so that we get grants to.
yeah. And then the other section, Kyle, actually, our town clerk brought up was section about FEMA expenses for the flooding.
Okay.
Page
Yeah.
70 of our town plan. I'm not sure if that's, Katie thought it was a town plan update, but I think it's also a zoning update
And of course, you'll get to your zoning after the plan.
after the plan, right?
I know it takes a while.
Yeah,
I was on the Virginia's planning commission for 5 years, and for those 5 years was updating.
yeah.
So. Yeah, I can take a look at that, but again, we do need to include, as I noted. Too many handouts. That's good. We will be looking at the flood resiliency portions of the plan.
Okay.
So, a lot of the things that we'll also talk about forest blocks and these other pieces that are just new, but our staff does that as far as pulling those maps, pulling that down.
Okay. So we need, it sounds like what we need to do is just come up with the basic generic statement of updating the town plan and focus on these areas.
Yeah, I think, and also, we do also have to talk about community outreach, so there's some sections in there that, we want to make sure that you have, you've done before, but like, creative ideas and what the outreach plan will be, so that's a section as well. And the boxes allow for 2,000 characters, so what we were recommending to do, I'm sure you heard that on the presentation, was to write it in a Word document, because the system is still a little funky.
Yeah.
But the 2,000, this new system is a new system, and then there's a last.
Yeah.
So this new system.
Yeah, we will do probably a couple of community outreach meetings.
Yes.
Maybe as part of the planning commission meeting, maybe a separate day and time, maybe a weekend day, just to get different people's availability.
Yeah. A survey, I know you did a survey previously.
Yep. We'll do the survey.
What people want to be in the new plan and all of that. So,
Yep.
And I'm happy we could walk through the application, but I don't know if that would be worth everyone's.
Is this really due the end of March?
March 31st, the applications. Yes. So that being said, I know you meet every other month. So I guess the question is, I'm here to say, how much do you want to be involved? Or does one person want to take the lead on it? So that I have a point person to work with maybe outside of the meeting. Or a meeting for March, and we could do this again, but really, my goal is to, if we were to do a meeting in March, for example, I would want us to be in really good shape for
Right.
with the majority of it, we could do that.
Okay, and then we could just formalize it at the March meeting.
I think so. We might still need that's what I'm asking as far as having a person, maybe a point person that might want to put a little bit more time in. But again, if that's not possible, so be it. I just want to make sure that you have the capacity to review what I'm working on and actually to give that feedback. So, because at the end of the day, it is.
Right. Oh, that's Jamie.
Jamie, a professional.
Did you admit him, Jamie? Okay. I guess I'm open to volunteers to work with Danielle.
Hi, Danielle, this is Jamie. I'm happy to work with you in any capacity that would be helpful.
Wonderful, Jamie. I'm sorry, it's Jamie is another member?
He's our representative at the Addison County Regional Planning.
Oh, hello. Okay.
We just haven't had a chance to meet yet.
I was not at last night's commission meeting, but I was on the meeting last month myself. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's difficult to hear you, Danielle.
I was just saying how I missed last night's commission meeting if you were there. But I was introduced on the last month, so I'm still putting names to faces of who represents him, but wonderful. I looked at your website, so I knew who was on the board.
Right. Yeah, he's on the county board.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
And we can find time to kind of just piece it all together. And again, we can schedule a call maybe for tomorrow or something, maybe we can discuss a plan. I feel like
Me too.
Yeah, because
where is the?
Right here.
Oh, okay.
the acoustics in this room are horrible.
I know, I saw the call.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy to connect with you, tomorrow, early next week to just start the process and start the information gathering. And he could be that point person to connect with everyone. And It's up to you if you want to consider a March meeting.
We,
Yeah.
if it looks like we need one, can you make it?
Yep.
Annie?
I don't know for sure. I'd have
Okay.
to-
Catherine and Bethany, would you be able to make a March meeting, second?
And like the same, like the second Thursday, right?
I'll be on a plane on that day.
Okay, so Annie can't make it. Catherine?
If it's the second Thursday, I can.
Yeah, it'll be the second Thursday. And Bethany?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I think we're gonna have a March meeting.
Sorry.
That's okay.
We're not gonna have to make one.
This is too important to.
It's important. Yeah, it's important.
Consider in the meantime is also the cost. So there is a 10% match for these grants. So there's some municipalities that don't have a lot to give for that. So that number then becomes the amount that we ask for total. I spoke to Katie, it's about $15,000 for work over 2 years. That would be, I guess, what Addison County Regional Planning would need to assist. And then therefore there's this 10% match on top of it. But again, that's just a roundabout number. The grant is available to $30,000. But that's not what we would need for what we need to do.
Okay, so we've got to get 1,500. Does that need to be in at, like, throughout the grant, or can we pay it at the end?
I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah, I could
That's a-
follow up on that.
that's a
good one. I
question.
like that. Okay.
And Mary, if I understood, it would be 1,500 per year. Is that what you said, Daniela? It would be a total of 30,000.
For 2 years would be what Katie mentioned would be a reasonable cost for the services.
so it would be 1,500 total, Jamie.
Oh,
For the
okay. I
So
misunderstood.
And my question is, would we have to pay 750 in the first year, or can we pay it all at the end, which would put it into 27's budget?
I know Adams are real hard about money things. No, I'm sure I'm sure that we can work out something where it can be split over a couple of years, but Adam would know for sure.
Okay.
So I'll follow up with that.
Okay, that would be great.
Wonderful. I knew there was gonna be questions, but I did not have the answers.
Yeah, that's fine. So,
And I'm just going through my notes again. So I think Jamie and I could work through some of my other questions, because again, we're gonna need a municipal officer, which might be Kyle or someone on the select board to get the process started. And I would love to, again, the goal, I guess, Jamie, for us in the next month would be to get it in pretty good shape so that we could make sure you're happy with where we're going with it, and then we'll have a little bit of time. I prefer not to submit it on the 31st. When I hear that happens, of course, by 6 o'clock. So let's try to get it pretty proactive.
okay,
And if we have to take it to the line, I'm happy to be part of that, of course.
yeah, well, we would hope that that does not happen.
Okay, great. And that's why we'll, go ahead.
Could I ask just a point of clarification? I was on the webinar, but I just to know for positive sure. We don't, for the purposes of the application, we don't have to know everything that we're going to include in our plan, correct? This is a general thing that we do want to get support, financial support to pursue this. And then after we get the grant, that's when we'll undertake all of the work that will be required to make sure that we're considering all the things that we need to consider with all the input that we need to be considering as much as possible about the future. So I just wanted to make sure that that's sort of the next step and not something that we have to get now.
And if there was something that you already kind of knew about that was gonna be something that maybe we have tabled for a little bit, we could always mention that, because that's just gonna be another point of where the need comes in. But ultimately, yes, correct. I mean, that's where the community input comes into play throughout the process. And then there's multiple ways in order to do that. So,
Good.
Super, thanks.
thank you. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say out loud. Yeah, I'll send some resources along. And can I can include all of you on one email, just don't respond. We don't
Right.
Yeah.
We can't get into a group discussion.
Yeah, exactly. Don't just reply to me singularly as necessary.
Yes.
Shannon Haggett trained me well on that note.
No reply to all.
Never reply to all.
I just learned to do that.
Hmm?
I just learned to do that.
To reply to all?
Yes.
Don't do it.
Yes, that's again a question as far as long as the funds are available, because again, we talked about one municipality only had $500 to contribute. So they were only able to apply for a grant for 5,000 or actually 5,500. So,
Yeah.
so if that's not the case here, wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah. So any questions for me or anything else?
I don't. I'm in and out and mostly out right now, but feel free to catch me by email.
Absolutely.
Just a fair warning, my town email is not working consistently.
At DRB?
Yes.
Okay, I did see those, the generic ones, which are great.
I don't get it at all.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't get it
Not
at
been
all.
able to access.
I can access it,
Okay.
except sometimes this last week I've not been able to access it hardly at all.
So does someone want to send me the best email addresses for everyone, or?
Yes.
Well, I
Do you
put-
have a RCP address? Okay.
My address is, it's D Birong, BIRONG, that sometimes autocorrects to boring.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm on the website.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I think we're going to, well, I don't think I have to do a motion at this point for applying for this grant. I mean, we got to talk to the select board and make sure they're willing to spend the money, but I think they'd be short-sighted not to. So,
Obviously, you have a great plan to work from. You know, I again read it, it's actually, I thought it was beautiful in
Thank you.
itself. And of course, you did Ruffy all the time, he was
Right.
the landmaster, so,
Right.
but we will.
Yeah. Okay, cool, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks to know.
Okay, thought you'd hear longer, because I wasn't sure if you wanted to go through like the application questions out, but you have printouts for your own review this evening, and that might be able to spark some creative.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I will do is go through it and I'll send you my thoughts
Absolutely.
where they might be applicable, and then you and Jamie
Yeah.
can say, no, that's stupid.
Okay. Jamie, I'll
About that.
find your email address in some system somewhere, so I'll take care of that. Okay.
Okay, anybody else on anything on the town plan? Okay, zoning regulations. So what you have in front of you, and I apologize for those of you online, I did not email them out. I can. David Martini had identified a section for Jen's zoning requirements about an enforcement clause. And basically what I did was took the Virgin's enforcement clause and updated it to reflect a town instead of the city and all of that. It is with the town attorney right now for review, and he said he'd get back to me by the end of the week. But this would be a new section in the zoning that would give David Martini the ability to actually enforce our zoning regulations with fines. Right now, our only enforcement ability is if we choose to take somebody to environmental court, which is very expensive for the town. So this would give us some ability. I mean, they could, if he got into a zoning predicament, and the person that was being fined didn't agree, they would have to take the town to environmental court. The onus would be on the suspected violator instead of on the town.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So there's
I
no
think it
other
is.
appeals clause in this, though?
I believe in this, they can come to the DRB.
Okay.
I don't know, I did this a while ago, but I'm really waiting for the lawyer to come back
Gotcha.
now with his insight. So this will really get pushed off to, we can talk about this in March after we get his response as well. And this is all being driven by noise complaints from last summer. One on Arnold Bay Road, which has been very egregious, and also one at the end of Turkey Lane. Just people, like the Arnold Bay thing was They were like jackhammering
Yeah.
from sun up to sundown every day. And, the neighbors, they were exceeding we do have an ordinance for 70 dB at the property line, and it was being exceeded. And they basically just ignored all outreach. And so the other thing that I think we need to just to talk about is something more strict than just a 70 dB at the border, boundary line. Last month or in December, we talked about perhaps putting hours, construction hours, and Catherine, did you guys come up with anything on
Catherine, you're
wording?
muted.
No, we did not come up with anything yet. Kind of was waiting to see how this part played out, but happy to do similar to what David did to find out what other communities have done and or to see, especially those on the lake, given the fact that the lake acoustics are particularly particular.
So I went through just like briefly and just cribbed the language from a lot of different towns. 'Cause
Okay.
Noise ordinances are very common. And I was just pulling the construction clauses out of them, and it does seem like most noise ordinances come with a time window.
Okay,
And it was largely 9 PM to 7 AM quiet time. I've had a few that were 6 PM. I've seen a few, like at the big cities, it was 10 PM. But it seemed very common to have a window of time when noise was prohibited.
How about
You know.
weekends, Annie?
So the one from Manchester had a smaller window of time on weekends, like it said, Sundays could only be noon to 6 PM. I don't know how granular. I think I don't know. Most of them did not break out weekends. It was just strictly like business hours or
Monday through
sundown,
Friday.
sunup.
Monday through Friday.
More like
Just-
business hours of the day, like,
7 days a week.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I was just trying to take a sampling of different towns. I didn't get into all the smaller little villages and stuff,
Yeah.
because there were so many different examples to go through.
Did you find any in Addison County?
They were harder to find. Let me see, I found Middlebury's. So this has, let's see. This one said construction noises 9 PM to 7 AM. But it didn't break out any days of the week. They had separate windows for electronic music, drumming. I mean, these things got
Yeah.
so detailed. It started to be like, okay, I'm just gonna find the construction noise thing.
Yeah, I think construction and property, I don't know if somehow we need to make sure that it covers like land movement, like grading and blasting and,
Middlebury had trash removal as its own
no,
clause.
we don't, no, we don't need to get into that, but I think, the two cases that we've had the most complaints about have been construction. So I don't know, what's everybody think?
What about gunshots? We've had gunshots going off down. In fact, one of the neighbors called me the other day, she was scared. Because we heard an automatic weapon going off at like 10 o'clock at night. We don't know, who's doing it, but it happens. There's lots of times that guns are going off after dark. And obviously they're not hunting.
Right. Let's put that on the table until we get some opinions on the construction first. I'm not opposed to that, but I'd like to get some consensus on the construction, what everybody thinks.
I think the hours of the day make sense. I mean, it's
Yep.
still annoying if they're doing this for like multiple years in a row, sun up to sundown, but it's hard to prohibit anything explicitly beyond that.
Right, and this still maintains the 70 dB at the property line.
Oh, so that would be just notwithstanding. Like that would be this would be in addition to it, but 70 dB is still,
You were not gonna get rid of that.
okay.
Yeah.
I
I
could,
mean, you know, the case where they were jackhammering,
Right.
that should have been dealt with a controlled blast. Like once or twice, not an entire summer.
sustained, yeah.
So that, you know, to me, that you can work through that and you can,
Yeah,
and the blasters, you know, put down mats or do whatever they need to do to contain their noise.
I wonder, so I could see doing shorter hours on the weekends. Like a smaller window, so it's not just like a full 8-hour day of work, or 10 hours in some cases if they're just doing it by the sunlight. I also wonder if there's any way we could include something about a duration, and no, not like a few weeks, but like projects that would exceed this noise, like, or this, like, what am I trying to say? Like maybe like however X many months of this before they need to come to the DRB and say like, we're doing a project that's going to, that complicates the language because
It does.
that's outside of just a blanket
And then
yes,
that
no on
gets-
a window,
That
but,
gets the DRB into the position of having to do waivers and
right.
all that. Catherine, you look like you have something to say.
I'm just thinking, I'm just trying to think of it from the standpoint of the folks who are doing the work and trying to be cognizant of what their needs are and what they're trying to accomplish and balance that with the neighbors. So I think the kinds of things that Annie is bringing up are reasonable. So if you get a permit for a project and it goes on for years and it's only done after hours and on weekends, and that's when your neighbors are off, like I think that's the tricky part, is trying to, you know, balance how we account for that. But that's why I was thinking that I think the time of day, the day of week, the decibel level, and then the how much time it takes over time. And if you come forward and say, I'm going to do it within this period of time, it'll start, it'll end, I'll get it done. And then if it doesn't, to be able to say, okay, it's taken longer for whatever reason and to get approval for that. So I don't know, that I'm just trying to think about it from both standpoints so that we can be accommodating for people who want to try to work on their property. I think the other question too that has come up that I've heard from the community is about the blasting, and if the blasting is for business purposes, mining purposes potentially, versus,
Yeah, the quarrying.
You're not allowed to quarry in Panton. That's already in the regs.
okay, so that might be a different question then.
Yeah, the only blasting that you could do is for like a foundation.
Okay, that's then there are already that, and then it just gets to the question of fines or whatever else happens.
Well, which is why we are looking at this enforcement clause.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, like, which is why the enforcement is so important, if that's what's going on. Yep.
Yeah,
I think with the noise ordinance, you just don't wanna like, you don't wanna prohibit someone like building a tree house on the weekend.
Right.
Or doing like their project that they're taking, like
Exactly.
day by day on weekends, but trying to address like these sustained ongoing, just like now
Yeah.
you're living next to a work zone that doesn't end.
yeah,
So that's the needle to thread.
sure.
Did you know there's already a state statute about, reason for peace, noise disturbance?
A state statute?
A person who between sunset and sunrise disturbs and breaks the public peace by firing guns, blowing horns, or other unnecessary and offensive noise shall be fined here is not more than $50. Not very fine.
Not big.
But there is, their criteria is sunset to sunrise, so.
So who enforces the state statute?
Who enforces it?
Yeah, I guess you'd have to call the,
State police, you can call the state
yeah, you'd have to
police.
call the state police, which, yeah,
You can file a complaint down at the courthouse.
yeah. Maybe we reference the state statute as a additional Would you mind sending me that statute? Linda?
No, I can send it to you.
Thank you. I mean, you know, if we're gonna write a noise ordinance, there's no reason why we can't reference that in addition to what
Right.
we're gonna do. So it gives people another option. I mean, I think we want to limit more than sun down to sunrise because, well, I don't
Well,
know.
in the
if you go to
summer,
eight-
sundown is 9:30.
Yeah, you know, I'm starting
Yeah,
at
so
sun.
most of yours were, what, 8?
Like I said, I only grabbed a few, but most of them were 9 PM.
Yeah, so that's kind of sundown.
Manchester was
Starts at what?
6 PM.
Thing is, though, it changes with,
Daylight, I mean, exactly.
Yeah. What time do they start?
Uh,
5 o'clock, it's late in the morning in the summer.
The windows were 7 AM almost
7
across
a.m.
the board
Okay,
starting.
so 7 a.m. to something. Because I don't, yeah, you don't want people, oh, it's sunrise is up at 5.
Five, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and you don't really want them to start at 5 a.m.
And-
I think limiting it to 7 is fine.
And everyone had a carve out for, emergency vehicles, like, this does not include anything.
Yeah, I think this is just construction. And land shaping, or I don't know how you say that,
Landscaping, shaping.
land manipulation, you know, I don't know, I'll find the right word for it. Because
Land-
this is gonna have to
Land,
go, land what?
land work,
And work, I like it.
Site work, so. Yeah.
site work, that's better. Site work is probably more comprehensive, yeah.
And there was also, most of the places had a little like clause in that sentence that says this does not apply to emergency repairs.
Okay,
Like. And this was like, this one's from Tunbridge, except for necessary emergency repairs to protect property of persons when such activity utilizes motorized and power tools or equipment.
okay, I guess, does everybody agree with 7 a.m. as a start time? We're gonna pick this apart really granularly. Yeah, yeah. Catherine and Bethany?
Yeah, I think 7 versus sun up is a better solution.
That's a pretty standard start time if they're pulling 10-4s or something, 4-10s.
Yeah, okay.
As a construction crew.
What about
Yeah, finish.
the finish time? I struggle with 9 because,
7 to 7, get you some.
yeah, but 7 to 7 is like, you get home after work and you just get
Going.
started and then all of a sudden you're done.
Say 8.
Compromise on 8? I'm just trying to think about, people have kids that go to bed at 8 o'clock. You really don't want your neighbor jackhammering at 9. And people go to bed early, that you have to get up early. Yeah.
Well, I do think there would be a fair amount of discretion in how this is applied. It's not your leaf blowing till 8:30.
Right. Well, that's not covered because this is construction.
Right.
8? You're okay with 8?
Yeah.
That's a late night.
Catherine and Bethany, 8?
Just to play devil's advocate, shouldn't construction happen during the business day?
Well, yes, except if you're a homeowner and you're building your own garage and you work during the day. You can't say you can't do it. You
And we
can't
don't
say-
want to, and that's definitely, I think what we're struggling with is, that's not what we want to be trying to do. Yeah, okay.
No. This is really big equipment, excavators, that kind of stuff. And you would think that those guys would want to be done, but we have 2 situations from last summer where this was a major complaint. So, I mean, yeah, we got to strike a balance between letting people do their stuff. There is the 70 dB exclusion. I mean, if you're under that, you can do what you want. I,
Actually, you can't, you have to always be under 70 dB, right?
yes, yes. So if you're under 70 dB, like Donna just said, hammering is not gonna reach 70 dB. So if you want to work at 10 o'clock at night and you're not exceeding that 70 dB at your property line, you're fine. Right? So if you want to work inside or, you know, it's not going to restrict that. This is just outside with big equipment, really. You know, pneumatic air guns and that kind of stuff is maybe, and it, again, it depends on the size of the property and whether you've got trees and, you know, there's a lot of variability with this, but I don't know, it just, for all the people that were disturbed all last summer, couldn't sit out on their porches and enjoy a sunset because jackhammering was going on. Seems like 8's a good cutoff for that.
Seems like it.
Bethany, see you unmuted.
Well, I was just gonna, because you are trying to look at it from both sides. I think 8 is a good compromise. It's not ideal for either someone trying to get things done during daylight or someone trying to enjoy time on their deck after work, but I think that that is a good compromise.
Okay. Jamie, you have any input on this or any advice?
I I don't, other than the direction you all are talking about. I think it's, excellent points that, if a homeowner is just working outside of his or her normal work hours to get things done, I don't think we can be too restrictive. So I like the direction of this conversation.
Okay. Well, I guess if everybody agrees with 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., Annie, if you could send me your research.
Sure.
I'll try to draft a construction noise thing and get it to the lawyer for review. And then we could vote on that at the next meeting. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yep.
Okay, so I don't think we need to do a motion tonight because we're not actually making a decision. We'll have actual wording and then we can vote on that and the enforcement part at the same time with the lawyers.
They'll get back to you by then.
Yeah, he's promised me this week on this and he's usually pretty quick. So I sent him this last month and it fell through the cracks and I tickled him on Monday and he's like, sorry, I'll get it back to you this week. So I'm expecting it tomorrow. And this will be much shorter, so I think he'll be able to do that quickly. Now, to Sharon's point about gunshot, I kind of like just referring to the state statute.
Yeah,
Because-
I might call the state police and ask them, because that is happening at a time when the sheriff's department is not, they're gone.
Right.
They stop at like 6 or 7, so they don't patrol out here after dark. So
Right.
the only option that we do have is the state police. So I can call and ask them what to do.
Yeah, that would be great. But I think what we can do is in our zoning, so that David Martini would be able to act, is basically paraphrase that and refer to the state statute. Get the lawyer to approve all that.
Right, well, I'll send it to you. You can
Yeah.
decide on that.
I mean, what do you think about that?
Oh, I think it's perfect.
The generic one that Sharon wrote?
Yeah, because we hear it at our house all the time.
Yeah, we do too. Well, if she hears it, I hear it. Annie, what do you think about the generic statute that Sharon read to us?
I think, let's see.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, it's on the road statutes on the person between sunrise and sunset disturbing breaks the public peace.
I mean, it's already state law, so who's ever doing it is breaking the law already. They're just not being recorded.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason not to, because it is already the law to reference it. I don't have a problem with it.
And, you know, the state police is overburdened, so you know, I don't know if they're gonna run out of hand.
They won't.
Right, I have my own skepticisms about that, $50 fine, like, what is it? But all you can do is write it down.
Yeah.
So to that end, sure, I don't see any reason not to. I mean, like you said, it's already law. But I'm not sure how, you know.
They won't come. We had, the guy he was the manager for Olive Garden, rented the farmhouse next door. And he was shoot those automatic guns all night. He worked the night shift, come home at 2 o'clock in the morning. He called them and said, you can see the yard is full of shots. Nothing.
They won't.
I mean, that raises the question though, if this happens and we are able to, if we
Yeah.
mirror the state language, which I guess we're kind of
Might be able
saying.
to do some method of enforcement locally.
Exactly.
That would be helpful.
But we also have to recognize that David Martini is not going to go out at midnight.
Exactly.
To confront gunfire.
And nor should he. He's
That's
not.
right. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't go out at midnight.
So yeah, yeah, we got to be careful about putting him
I don't know,
In a pickle.
in a position that's not safe or not appropriate.
Right.
no, I agree with that.
So I guess I'm leaning against doing that. Because, yeah, I don't think we can put a zoning administrator in that position.
I don't know that he would have to physically go. I mean, you know, if it was reported,
Yeah,
it could be done by mail. No?
Right, but I think that's one question I have about this enforcement thing is how do we avoid getting into like
he has to witness it.
a reporting war or even just.
So like with the noise, we had readings, decibel readings. We did that up on 22A at a garage as well. So that's, you know, you have to physically go there and witness it. So
Well, I mean,
gunshots,
reporting it, that would be on them. I would think that they would have to have the proof. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I was told when I was having some other issues down there. And I definitely got the proof. I've got videos and
Yeah.
pictures and yeah, I've got enough proof to, you know,
yeah,
make your head swim, but not for the gunshots. But you could walk outside if you heard them, you were concerned about it, you could record it.
yeah, and that's what you'd have to do. And you can get apps for your phone that
Yeah,
give you
so I
decibel.
mean, that would, seems to me like it would be enough.
Yeah, I'm just struggling with putting a zoning administrator in that just isn't there.
Yeah, well, maybe he's not the right person to put that enforcement on.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the state police.
I think it's the state, I think it's got to be the police.
I'll call him and ask him, what do we do in this kind of situation?
Yeah,
There's all sorts of weird gun things going on around the state, you know, it's like getting kind of crazy, you know.
yeah. Well, maybe they'll start listening. Okay, so, all right, I guess what I'm gonna do is I'll draft something up with the 7 AM to 8 PM referencing construction and get it to the lawyer and hopefully be ready so that we could vote on it next meeting.
I am just having some other thoughts that I don't want to wait till the next meeting to suggest, which is that as we're trying to balance between those who are working on things and those who are not working on things from a construction perspective, do we want to try to split the difference and have Sundays be no noise so that it's half of the weekend rather than the entire weekend for those hours that we talked about? Sorry for reintroducing it. I was just musing about it.
I think that's relevant to the home, like if you're working DIY on something.
Exactly. If you want to finish it up.
I don't know, I'll go with the majority on this one. I could go either way.
I would like to, I'd like to go back to the blue laws in Massachusetts, where they didn't do anything on Sunday, but that's not reality anymore, you know?
All right, Annie and Bethany, I guess you got to weigh in on this one.
I don't know, my gut is it would absolutely be nice to have Sunday off, but if it's just someone at home doing their own work,
Yep.
versus a crew. I mean, I don't think crews should be working every day of the week. That's my opinion.
But you have your friends help you, you know? Is that a crew?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, so much of how things are done around here.
yeah.
I mean, I wonder about doing just the reduced hours on those days, Saturday and Sunday. Like a smaller window, not 7 AM to 8 PM, but, 9 AM to 2 PM
6
or
PM?
something. Oh, I meant even less. That way you'd have a window of work that's like completely reasonable and fine both days. But, because I don't know, I think it's hard to block off an entire day and say no one can make any noise.
Yeah.
We're a rural town where a lot of people are doing that sort of stuff on their own time outside of their 9 to 5. I don't know, and I think that's a hard thing to balance.
It is.
Somehow,
Because
somehow the 9 to 2 seems like a balance. Like it's not blocking off an entire day, but it is giving weekends the neighbors who don't have that going on those hours without the noise. Anyhow, so that's just a thought.
So would that just be for Sunday or Saturday and Sunday? I think that's a tougher sell.
what, to have it for both days?
Yeah. But Sunday, yeah, you see, you get to sleep until 9 instead of 7.
And quit it in two.
I quit at 2, yeah. I mean, that was what your thoughts were, right, Catherine? Just for Sunday, like 9 to 2?
No.
I was thinking all of Sunday, just have one day where you didn't have to worry about it at all. But I was thinking that Annie's counterpoint was weekends would be the 9 to 2
For
And-
both days.
Both
for
days.
both days. And again, I know we're trying to balance this, so I'm really, that's my spirit here. And it's tricky, but
Just a point of clarification, are we talking about noise that exceeds 75 decibels?
Yes,
Okay, so I mean, it's not, you can't work, you just can't do loud work.
right.
Got it.
I'm personally partial to the smaller window on both days just because it provides the most flexibility and ability to just say, like, while I agree that I think it would be nice to have a day completely off, I think it gives more of a ability for us to say, like, you have your opportunities to do these things.
Mhm.
Okay, so Monday to Friday, 7 to 8, and then Saturday, Sunday would be 9 AM to 2 PM.
I think that sounds good.
Can everybody live with
Yep.
that?
I'm fine.
Yep.
Okay, so, the key point of this is there will be hearings that'll be warned, so the public will have their ability to come in and voice their opinions. So,
Yeah, so for example, could someone come in and say, if we don't want this work to drag on for 3 months, can we get it done in a month if we go outside of these hours and get a variance for it? I'm just thinking of things that will likely come up with people trying to get around this to get things done quicker.
yeah, I think it would have to be a waiver. I don't know, we'll have to look at I guess that's a question for the lawyer, really, because the waivers are really set up for boundary line issues and, setbacks and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because that would all come down to the neighbors. If the neighbors want the work done quicker and are okay with it. you know, going till 9 PM if the construction crew can do it. I have a feeling that things like that might come up in certain areas of the town.
Yeah. Okay. It's starting to sound like a discussion with the lawyer. Which is fine. It's fine. Okay, I mean, it's an important point, I think. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're just trying to make it so that people can enjoy their property, but people can also make their improvements or do what they want.
Yeah, I think the only other thing is, do we want to think about or ask about or even just consider any farther, like a duration thing?
Hmm,
Like if it's 7 AM to 9, or whatever our windows we said, or 7 to
7 to
8
8.
for 3 years? Like, is there any? I don't know, and I think that honestly, that language makes this a lot more complicated and may just be beyond what we want to
Yeah,
get into
well,
here, but
I'm just gonna ask the lawyer that question.
that's something I did not
Any way
see
To,
in my example.
that's why they're the lawyers and we're not. Okay, I'll ask him about the waiver to trade hours for duration and any way to bound the total duration. Okay, and then I think there's also, Kyle brought up in our existing town plan, page 70. This is under lake encroachment. Well, no, it's not the title of the section. Hang on. Section 14, natural resources and environment. If we put some ordinances in place to divide river corridor and or river corridor zoning regulations to improve, oh wait, no, that's not it. Wait. There was, I'm gonna have to go back to it, but there's a way if we put some regulations in around river corridors for basically restricting development, we can be eligible for a larger percentage of reimbursement from FEMA. So I think we should look at that. I'll send his email out so you guys can all see it.
And are those river corridors as like defined by ANR?
Yes,
It's already on the map.
it's already on the map. So this is one area we definitely want to beef up this plan so that we're eligible for the maximum FEMA, but it's going to flow into the zoning. The question is whether we do it now or whether we do it after the town plan update. It would be easier to do it after the town plan update, but if we have another flood, we want the bigger reimbursement.
I mean, hypothetically, could we get this in by, like, how fast could we get this in?
I doubt this would be quick because we're gonna have to get support from
This is a change to
Madison
the town
County.
plan.
The,
No, she's on the phone.
oh, Um, the town plan, I believe, needs to be updated. There may be a way that we could update the zoning to basically take advantage of the FEMA change without doing the town plan,
Okay, change zoning.
change zoning. But, you know, this, I mean, zoning takes a long time to change. I'd really like to be able to say to the people that are inundated by the noise, like, maybe by the end of the summer, we'll have you covered.
Could we bundle the two things?
We could, I just don't know.
Warn them all together?
I don't know enough about this change to be able to even say what we need to change in the
Right.
zoning. I mean, if I could find somebody that knew that, that would be
Sure.
great, but, I mean, even if, you know, somebody could, well, maybe since Kyle was talking to somebody about this, maybe they can point me to a town that's already done it, and we could go grab their language.
Yeah.
Or I can talk to Katie or Janelle about it, maybe they can point us to some town that's already done it.
Yeah, because if it's as simple as like cribbing and making sure all the language worked and like,
Then yes, we could bundle it,
I think, because that would.
but if I
streamline
gotta
the
come up with
process.
language,
Sure.
it's not gonna be quick.
But if this is something that like clearly would enable you to access the funds, I'm wondering if other towns have already taken
That's-
advantage of that.
Yeah, and if they
It's
have,
just as
I would
simple as
like to
finding them.
piggyback
Join
on
them.
that.
Yep.
So I'll try to get a little bit more detail on that for the March meeting.
Yeah, maybe Barry and some of the other towns that had more severe flooding.
That's a really good point, Bethany. Okay, moving on from zoning. Public comment. Got anything? Okay. Jamie, you have anything for public comment?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. The only other business, we have a phone call. Catherine, are you gonna be able to make that phone call tomorrow? Yes, okay. What?
It's a 2 thumbs up. Yes, I am.
Okay, great. We have a phone call with the people that are doing the work on the town beach for the phosphorus runoff. So we'll get a status update tomorrow.
Oh, good.
Unfortunately, not for tonight, but Catherine's gonna be on the call as well. It's at 9 o'clock, so I think I can actually send out a summary, just don't respond to me. But they basically have a very preliminary plan, and it involves putting some rain gardens in at the bottom of the hill, like, and some screening for the porta potty, and a rain garden over by the end of the wall. Is kind of the gist.
They'll give us the plan? They give
Yeah,
us the plan?
yeah, so
to use?
the grant is for developing the plan, so there's 2 phases, there's a phase 1 phase, you know, that where they do a 30% plan, which is what we're in, then it has to go to the grantors, which is Rutland County Regional Planning. They have to approve the 30% plan, and then
Rutland?
Rutland, because they own this part of Lake Champlain for the Clean Water Act.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Addison County owns like Otter Creek and Dead Creek, but Rutland owns the south part of Lake Champlain. So
Okay.
Addison County has to go to Rutland to get approval of a 30% plan. If they approve it, then we get the rest of the funding released so they can finish the bulk of the plan.
Yeah.
And I know they were talking to the artifact people about, you know, any things, any reasons, any areas that they have to avoid, any kind of land manipulation, you know, for Indian artifacts or
Yep.
anything like that. So those
Yeah.
people have been,
Yep.
and so hopefully we'll get a good update tomorrow and be able to say the 30% plan is good to go, and then we'll find out about the rest of it. Nice. And then, once we have the plan, that will enable us to actually apply for a grant to move dirt. So it's a process. So that's all.
And yeah, and just that the plan really took into consideration sort of a previous plan that hadn't been moved forward. And so I feel like we're trying to encompass as much of that as possible in this and accomplish as much and on so many different levels for people who use it, for environment, for sustain, yeah, all those sorts of things. So yeah, trying to thread that needle again.
Okay. Yep. Anybody else have any old or new business? I don't think so. Okay, you know what motion I'm looking for?
I will make that motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Seconded.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you. Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, March meeting. My husband's gonna kill me. Thank you, Donna.
Yes, thank you so much.
Going for a ride.
Adding my thanks, Donna, and everybody for the meeting. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're doing it together.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Righty tighty. What's that?
That's, they have a speaker for the town, select board meetings. Because people in the audience can't hear. Because they talk very quietly. And, you know, there's enough ambient noise that you can't hear anything. So I guess it's on loan from Ferrisburg.
Yes, it is.
That pen push is also good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I didn't use it because nobody ever complains at this meeting because we all speak up.
Oh, yeah, no, you cannot hear everything in here.
Yes, yeah.
It's all hard work, but then you get noise down all over.
Sharon, don't leave.
Why not?
Because I wanted to talk to you about something.
Shouting all day. Go home, fall and do that.
Oh, boy.
Get one day off and then I have to go do it again, like everybody else.
I don't know. Do we really think we're gonna get a big storm?
They say 8 to 12.
I heard 5 to 8, and then I was talking to someone in Middleburg, and I said we're gonna get a foot.
I heard 14.
Man,
What?
I'm so into this. I'm sorry, y'all. I love it.
It's been too
long.
It's been too long since
we've had
Has been getting, like, the other day, the forecast was partly sunny, and we got 2 inches of snow in like an hour. It was like an absolute total.
After how sad last year was, like, I am so into this.
Oh, I can't wait.
You like this now like that?
Oh,
Do you ski?
yeah.
Oh, well.
I cross country and I snow.
Right. I do too, but, you know, I also shovel. Get the skis in the car, but you gotta get to the hill.
We had to shovel to get in the driveway.